No need, Su said, supporting himself on Filiu's hand as he rose. Filiu and I aren't seeking a marriage proposal, so why dress up? Let's go. Shibi mussed outside the courtyard. Eh? How did you know Shibi was outside? I didn't mention it just now, did I? Yujin was quite puzzled. I guessed, Su replied with a concise smile, leading the way out of the snow cottage. Indeed, Shibi was waiting under an old willow tree outside the courtyard, and he hurried to meet them as they emerged. Brother Su, the day before yesterday, it was I who. Why dwell on it? Su's smile was gentle and serene, devoid of any hint of resentment. I don't mind, so you shouldn't keep it in your heart either. The two exchanged a knowing smile, and indeed, no more words were necessary. Jingrui, on one hand, cherished the deep bond he shared with his brother, and on the other, held great respect for Su. Witnessing the dissipation of their disagreements, as if dark clouds had parted to reveal a harmonious atmosphere once more, Jingrui was overjoyed. His face beamed with delight. Upon arriving at the Zhuke gate by carriage, they found the place teeming with people. The city's dignitaries and high officials had seemingly all emerged, creating a bustling scene of friends, relatives, superiors, and subordinates exchanging pleasantries and salutations in a disordered fashion, akin to a lively marketplace. With Su carefully guarded in the center, the group navigated the throngs, greeting those around them ceaselessly, until they entered the cotton tent area where things were slightly more manageable. The tents of the Yan and Shay families were not situated together, but since the Duke of Ningguo and Princess Liang were both accompanying the Emperor at the Phoenix Welcoming Pavilion, Yujin had taken the liberty of joining the others, seeking the warmth of camaraderie. Filiu, rather than appearing and disappearing as he usually did, remained steadfastly by Su's side, scrutinizing every individual who approached, intentionally or not. His icy demeanor sent shivers down the spines of the three young noblemen nearby. As noon approached, a sudden tolling of bells resounded from the Phoenix Welcoming Pavilion, with 9 long and 5 short peals announcing the arrival of the imperial procession. The atmosphere below instantly turned reverent and hushed, not even the faintest whisper could be heard. Only the sonorous voice of the master of ceremonies remained, instructing the crowd in their obeisance and salutations. Gazing up from the ornate tents, one could see the splendid interior of the Phoenix Welcoming Pavilion, replete with palace fans and canopies, jeweled crowns, and brocaded robes. Though it was possible to discern the emperor's position at the center of the pavilion, it was virtually impossible to make out any individual faces. However, for those situated atop the pavilion, the situation was quite different. From their elevated vantage point, they could survey the surroundings with a clear and unobstructed view of all that transpired below. At this moment, the master of ceremonies had already led the first 50 contestants, who were scheduled for the day's trials, onto the platform. They paid their respects to the emperor and announced their names one by one before stepping down. Following the order and pairings determined by the drawing of lots, the formal competition commenced. As the leader of the foremost alliance in the martial world, Su, despite being unable to practice martial arts due to physical constraints, possessed an extensive and profound knowledge of the various schools and styles, akin to a connoisseur of rare treasures, far surpassing that of ordinary individuals. The 3 young men in the tent frequently sought his insights, and he patiently addressed their inquiries. Although the competition on stage had yet to reach a thrilling crescendo, the atmosphere within the tent was undeniably lively. No sooner had the first 3 matches concluded than the arrival of the first visitor, an anticipated event, finally came to pass. However, to everyone's astonishment, this visitor turned out to be someone they had not initially considered in the slightest. "Gentlemen, are you enjoying yourselves today?" Unperturbed by the nearly undisguised astonishment of those within the tent, the visitor greeted them with a beaming smile, a slight bow, and a flourish of the whisk in his hand. "Ah, we are honored by your presence, eunuch Gao. Please, have a seat." Shibi, well versed in the ways of the court, was the first to recover and hurriedly stepped forward to assist. "No need to sit," replied Gao, who, despite having served the emperor for over 30 years and having risen to the position of chief eunuch overseeing the 6 palaces, remained unassuming in his demeanor. Treating these younger gentlemen with utmost courtesy, he continued with a warm and amiable expression, "Please come with me. The Grand Empress Dowager wishes to see you." "The Grand Empress Dowager?" Shibi exclaimed in surprise. "Her Majesty is here as well?" "Indeed. The Grand Empress Dowager noticed you young gentlemen enjoying yourselves from the Phoenix welcoming pavilion and has requested your presence," the eunuch confirmed. "All of us?" Shibi inquired. "Yes, all of you," Gao affirmed. "This gentleman, as well as this young man, are all to go up." Shibi turned around, and everyone exchanged glances for a moment. The Grand Empress Dowager was the emperor's legitimate grandmother, who, now in her 90s, never meddled in political affairs. Thus, she enjoyed a long and carefree life, outliving the Empress Dowager by many years and thriving in her old age. It was not surprising that she would summon people, as her favorite pastime was being surrounded by a group of younger generations. However, it was unexpected that her dimming eyesight could still discern who was seated below. However lost in thought they were, when the Grand Empress Dowager summoned, even the emperor dared not disobey. The group had no choice but to adjust their attire and follow Gao out of the ornate tent, entering the Phoenix welcoming pavilion through a side staircase. The Grand Empress Dowager was not in the main building, but instead seated in a warm chamber sheltered from the wind. Upon entering the chamber, they saw an elderly lady with snow-white hair reclining on a soft couch, her face full of wrinkles yet exuding a benevolent countenance. Besides the clusters of palace maids and eunuchs in attendance, there were also 4 people seated beside her. Sue's gaze swept across the room, quickly discerning the identities of the 4 individuals present. Seated at the head of the group was a woman in a phoenix crown and yellow robes, her demeanor dignified and composed. She was undoubtedly the Empress Yen, her beauty marred by faint wrinkles at the corners of her eyes and lips, yet still retaining a vestige of her youthful splendor. To the Empress's right was a woman in palace attire, her hair piled high and her features elegant. Though she appeared to be over 40, her well-maintained complexion still gleamed. This must be the imperial noble consort Yu, the birth mother of the crown prince. To the Empress's left sat a middle-aged beauty with a particularly graceful bearing, her exquisite features familiar, the Princess Liang. Lastly, there was a young woman dressed in simple attire, her makeup light and her countenance not strikingly beautiful, but brimming with vigor and spirit. Among the roomful of lavishly dressed noblewomen, none could suppress her aura. Who else could possess such an air but Princess Nihuang? "Have they arrived?" The Grand Empress Dowager, trembling slightly, sat up with a smile in her eyes. "Quick, call them over and tell me which children are here." Yujin couldn't help but suppress a smile, earning a glare from the Empress Yen. Due to her advanced age, the Grand Empress Dowager had become somewhat muddled in recent years. Though she enjoyed being close to young people, she could not remember who was who. At times, even if she had just met someone the day before, she would need a reintroduction the very next day. Gao led everyone forward, and in a low voice, Su found an opportunity to coax Filiu. "Would you let the old lady hold your hand later? Can you smile for her to see, is that all right?" Filiu coldly showed an unwilling expression. At this moment, the Grand Empress Dowager had already taken the hand of the nearest Jingrui, and Gao hurriedly introduced him. This is the eldest son of the Duke of Ning, Jingrui. Little Jingrui, have you married yet? The old lady kindly asked. Not yet. Oh, you should hurry up. Yes. After patting Jingrui's head, she turned and took Shibi's hand. This is the second son of the Duke of Ningwa, Shibi. Little Shibi, have you married yet? No. You should hurry up. Yes. Next, the Grand Empress Dowager gestured for Filiu to come over. Su quickly pushed him forward, and the young man reluctantly allowed the old lady to grasp his hand with a cold expression. This young man is called Filiu. Gao quickly asked Shibi and then introduced him. Little Filiu, have you married yet? No. You should hurry up. No. Before Filiu could finish saying don't want to, Su had already rushed over to cover his mouth. Naturally, the Grand Empress Dowager's attention immediately shifted to Su, who took his hand and looked at him with a beaming smile. This is Mr. Su, Gao said. Little Shu, the Grand Empress Dowager asked with slightly unclear speech, repeating the same question, have you married yet? No. You should hurry up. Finally, Yujin was brought over. After Gao's introduction, the Grand Empress Dowager still asked, Little Yujin, have you married yet? Yujin blinked and mischievously replied, I'm already married. The Grand Empress Dowager paused for a moment, seemingly processing the information, but she quickly asked another question, Do you have children yet? Yujin was taken aback and murmured, Not yet. You should hurry up. Empress Yin stepped forward and respectfully said, Imperial Grandmother, would you like the children to sit with you for a while? Good, good, the Grand Empress Dowager was delighted and gestured for them to sit. Come sit here, little Shu beside grandmother, little Jingrui and little Shibi here, little Yujin don't stand, little Filiu is too far away.